Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to FM24 Youth Factory. This is episode number 12. Torquay is not a team that's in the playoff zone, but they're 1 point out of it. Or 4 points out of it. One spot out of it. They are 8th. And last time we played them on the road, they were inside the playoff zone. They were one of the many teams that beat us when they were there. So today, can we buck the trend? Can we beat a top team in the league for a change? Well, so far this month, we're a perfect 2 from 2. 6 points from 2 played. But, unfortunately, Gloucester, they've played 3 already this month, and they've won all 3 of them. So they've actually jumped us to take the league lead. They don't play today. I think they might end up playing tomorrow, though. But we really need those points to get back on top of the league. And, as I was saying at the end of last episode, we are in a situation right now where the schedule is a little bit easier for a stretch. And we really need to capitalize on this opportunity to get not only a lead in the league, but we need to pull away a little bit. And at the moment, we are not having our best game. 8 minutes in, Torquay is putting up a fight at the moment as they win that header that was headed for the far post. Easy grab for Julian, though. But this is just about a 50-50 matchup so far. Kamara in for an injured McFadden. Minor injury, though. He'll be back pretty quick. But unavailable for today. Mortland. Adekunle. Adekunle takes that shot. Nearly beats Fisher, but Fisher pushes it out around the near post for a corner kick. Keeper doesn't come out and claim it. Hassel had a chance to win that header. He's scored quite a few goals like that this season, but he's not going to claim that one. After the throw-in, the cross. Davidson scrapes the net, but it's the wrong side of the net as that goes over the bar. And we're starting to take control of the match here just a bit in the last 10 minutes. Thornhill takes that shot. Fisher gets a hand to it just a little bit to flex it wide. Out for another corner. Far post again. Hassel not winning that one. Atkins. Davidson. Now Kamara. We find Lanahan Penreese, but he takes it to the sideline. Mortland cuts in. Davidson bends that one, but can't get enough curl on it to get it back within range. Keeper watches it go out. Adekunle, great shot. Fisher, fantastic save. Both players did really well on that one. But no goal. That's turned over. It's definitely been all us for the last 15 minutes. That was their most threatening moment, and nothing was coming of that one. Mortland, Lanahan Penreese. Got some numbers. That gets through to Adekunle, who cuts inside. Bends, goes back to his near post as he was looking like he was going to go far post there. And Fisher can't get to that one as it goes just inside the low post. Adekunle with his left. You can see how he's dribbling across, and then he just drives it hard and straight to the right instead of the positioning he had. And it's 1-0. Mostly us in the game so far, especially after that first 10 minutes. They have amassed 2 attempts in the last 20 minutes or so, 15 minutes or so since the goal, but we get back going again shortly thereafter, and we approach halftime. Ooh, a bad giveaway there. What the heck was that? Under no pressure, kick it straight to where the defense is. We managed to get a foot to it, but just stretching to get that foot to it and kick it straight to them. Davidson has a minor injury. Let's go ahead and change something up regarding the lineup for that here at halftime. Potential growing injury. We definitely don't want to leave him in. He is hampered by the injury. Archie Jones, better morale, has played better than Kasungu Mutombo of late. So we'll bring in Archie Jones. That means Lanahan Penreese will move to the top. With a lead, full team fired up. Let's go play another half. And let's see if we can finally see out a game. And then, of course, oh, McClintock, that's a very dangerous tackle, but it's just a yellow. Thornhill does get up from that one. He's okay. Lanahan Penrace in some space. Fisher makes a good stop and puts it out for the corner kick instead of dumping it in front, which we very well could have pounced on. Again, we go far post. Defense is going to win that header over Hassel. He is yet to win one of those today. Adekunle. This time Fisher comes out and claims it. A very dangerous place. That would have been a for sure goal if we could have won the header and got it on target. We've already played 10 minutes of the second half, so far having been all us, but here's a corner kick opportunity for them. Coming up on the hour mark. We do finally win a header, but we don't get the clearance, and Julian is forced to make a stop. Relatively routine save there, but it's out for a corner kick, and they go again. We win the header, but only just when we're not clearing the ball properly. But we've gotten out of trouble there. Sequence moves on. Now we've played an hour. Redknapp. Or hour plus. Mortland. Back out to Redknapp. Redknapp. Atkins. Now Mortland. Finds Adekunle. Great pass. It's deflected, but Jones taps it in. It's 2-0. So we're finally beating a top team. Only they're a spot outside of the playoff zone. The playoff zone has been the big kind of marker. And yes, when they were in the playoff zone earlier, and that was onside, when they were in the playoff zone earlier, they beat us. We're going to get our revenge today, or one would think we should be able to see this thing out. Let's go ahead and time waste a little bit and play for set pieces and start thinking about using our substitutions. Time moving pretty quickly. Suddenly there's 15 minutes to go. So let's go ahead and make a change. Adekunle's having a great day with that goal, so maybe not him. Redknapp is struggling. Chris Webb? Sure. Make that the first substitution. 85. Let's look at another sub. What do we have on the bench? Primus. Orkasungo Matumbo. Adekunle is playing so well, I don't want to get him out, but avoiding yellow card trouble for our defensive mids will bring on Primus. Okay, let's go ahead and go cautious. Get behind the ball a bit more and time waste a lot more. Let's go ahead and start regrouping here for the final couple minutes also. Which means we don't need to trigger the press as often. And we definitely can drop back. Get more compact for the final minutes. And that has negated anything they've done. All we need is a whistle, and there it is, and we get the 3 points. We really shut them out there in the second half. They didn't have an attempt in the last half hour. And that goal definitely sealed it, put it away for us. We got the 2 goals we deserved. The shutout was probably deserved as well, as they never put up much of a chance at any stage in that game. We controlled it throughout. So we do finally beat one of the better teams, but again, with the caveat that they're one spot out of the playoff zone. So does it really count? No, not really. It is a team that belongs in that zone. It's a team that beat us earlier in the season, so I'm glad to get that revenge, and it is a good victory. But it's still going to have that caveat of not being a playoff zone team. Puts us back on top of the league for the moment, but Gloucester is very much keeping pace with our wins for now. We need them to drop some points. Others are. We now have a 12-point gap to Maidenhead and Real Bedford. Sudbury, 14. Wealdstone, 15 down. 16 to Bromley. Torquay drops all the way to 11th with the loss there. All the way to 11th. Lewes, probably the deserving team to be the next best with a plus 12. Weymouth has a plus 15, but only 46 points. Luckily for Davidson, it's just a tight growing. 1 to 2 days should be fine, especially by the next match. Davidson, McFadden, now the only 2 injured. The other player who had been injured just getting healthy in the last couple of days. So we've been at 2 players, rotating who the 2 players were, but we've been at 2 players injured for roughly a month now. That's not bad. Still joint second highest in the league. Everybody else managing to stay healthy. Us picking up a number of injuries, but for a stretch here, it's been manageable. It's been minor. It's been 2 guys at a time. Looking back at how the season started, we were very much in form. Our first loss was Sudbury, top team in the league. Torquay, top team in the league. That was it for the first 2.5 months. In November, again, single loss, again to a top team in the league, Gloucester. On the road, losing 2-1. All close, all by a single goal, always competitive, usually on the road. But then December came, and just like last year, things got tricky. First off, a loss in the FA Cup, Portsmouth way above our level, made sense. But suddenly we had the dip in form. 2 draws, finally coming away with a win. But then the FA Trophy, and Dorking, and we lose again. And then we go on the road to Maidenhead, another playoff team, another road game, another 1-goal loss. December was rough. And that carried into our first loss all season against a team not in the playoff zone. Again on the road, again by a goal, but Malden and Tiptree knocked us off. The month continued, January, with 2 losses. Last episode with Wealdstone and Sudbury, the draw. Every loss we've had has been by a single goal. Every loss we've had has been on the road. There is a theme. And all but one of those has been against teams that were in the playoff zone or better. The draws with Dartford, Gosport, Sudbury weren't great. 2 draws at home. But we have been really good. And in the last month and a half, we've been great. Winning by multiple goals in more than half of these, with a lot of road games. We've had 5 road games and just 3 home games in the last 8. All wins. It's been a very good period for us. But Torquay, the only one in the upper end of the standings. Dover, mid-table, 2-1 victory. I mean, that's nice considering how we've been on the road at better teams. Definite themes. Definite patterns to follow. We're now entering the final month and a half, or just inside of 2 months of the season. Oxford City, 13th, but we're at home. That should be a win. Weymouth, they're 10th, and on the road. That could be challenging. Generally, we've beaten those mid-table teams, even on the road. But you never know. We do have that 1 loss, but that was in a bad period for us before we could really bounced out of it. We've won 8 in a row. You'd like our odds. But here's where things are going to get tough. It's Gloucester at home to wrap up the month of March. 2 more matches to go till then. What can we do? What do we need to do? Because April's not going to be easy. Real Bedford is 5th. Lewes is 9th. Dartford is 12th. Gosport, that's an easy one. But then we have Bromley on the road. So 3 road games. Maidenhead at home. Their 3rd. Really, really difficult month plus with Gloucester, and then Hemel Hempstead 18th away. My objective was to go through February and March and hit that Gloucester game undefeated, and we've done that. My objective was to use 2 very strong months, getting lots of points, near perfect. I wasn't expecting perfect, and so far we have been perfect. But what's the league look like? How have we done in comparison to the others? We've done what we've needed to do, but have we gotten any assistance? Have they beat up on each other at all? The answer is hardly. But yes, the answer is yes, but hardly. Torquay still just right out 1 spot outside of the playoff zone, and actually now just 1 point out of the playoff zone. Wealdstone just inside it. Sudbury, Real Bedford, Bromley, Maidenhead. We play most of these teams in that final month. And then comes Gloucester. We're 15 points ahead of Maidenhead. We've pulled away almost, not quite, almost to the point where we can count on a top 2 this season. Almost. We're not there yet. The math is definitely not there yet. And we've got a lot of difficult matches in that final month that can be tricky, that can cost us a lot of points. And depending on how everybody else does, no guarantees. The one thing that is guaranteed is that Gloucester has very much kept pace. They've not been perfect. We have pulled ahead, but we're only 3 points ahead. They have been near perfect for the last month and a half as well. I think they've had one draw. That's it. They dropped 2 points. That has not served the purpose that I was hoping for. But they too have had a fairly easy month and a half schedule. They've had one game with Maidenhead that they won in a close contest. But otherwise, they haven't been facing top teams either. So does that too mean that they are going to have a difficult stretch in the final month? One would hope that that's going to be the case, meaning we could both end up getting beat up on or beating up on. I think the biggest thing is going to be coming out of that Gloucester game with a victory. That's going to be the key, especially if we go into it with a 3-point or greater lead. It's still a couple matches from now. In fact, next game, Gloucester on the road at Sudbury. They drop points. We continue to get points. We get the next 6 points going into that match. If we can beat Gloucester, that feels like that should be enough of a gap, especially if they lose this one and we beat them. That becomes a 9-point lead, presumably. Right, there's one more match in between there. But assuming we both manage to win that one, we'd be looking at a 9-point lead with a month to play. That's not a guarantee, but that feels like that's something that can get you over the line. 0 injuries for Gloucester right now, 5 for Weymouth. Weymouth is on the cards for us here pretty soon, so hopefully them being shorthanded could help us get through that one, because that is one of the more difficult matches that we have as it's on the road. Big month coming, but we've still got 2 more matches to get through before we jump in and bypass those 2 matches to get us to the Gloucester match. Something else has grabbed my attention. For one, as a club, we are approaching the $30 million evaluation. We are sitting on a cash pile of $22 million, which we're very much looking forward to using. But there's 2 things that are standing out to me. I want to check in on what the club reputation is. I mean, we're at that 1 star, but it's been fairly stagnant for 2 years now, as climbing the ladder seems to be just about the only way to build a reputation in this game anymore. We've been getting notices off and on for 3 years, last series and into the FM24 variation of it. For about 3 years, we've had constant notes about ignore what the media is saying. There's no board takeover happening. Right now, though, our owner status is showing that we are in the process of a board takeover. So it might actually happen this time. We'll see if that's the case, though. More importantly, when we look at the facilities page, we are currently playing at Bickland Park, over an hour away in Falmouth, because our stadium didn't have the capacity, even after it had just been expanded by 50%. But at 1,500, it didn't have enough. You need to have 3,000 plus. So we're loaning out a stadium, has that 3,000 plus, even though it's only 500 seated, and we were 1,500 seated. Better stadium, but it is what it is. It's a fairly new one. This is built in 2028. Home of Falmouth Town. But as you look down the list, one very, very big note, maybe you already spotted it: future stadium plans. We had notices regarding it's going to happen, we're going to get a stadium, but we weren't getting any follow-up. Stage, searching for site, planned capacity. They have a plan for a stadium. They're still just trying to get the land. 15,547 all seated. 15,000. Now, pending future additions. That has got to be enough, right? That's got to be enough to get you through the leagues. I don't know what the minimum requirements are, but I know that there's been Premier League sides with 18 to 22K stadiums, smaller stadiums. We're not that far from that. We've got the potential for a stadium that, maybe with some additions, could see us all the way to the Premier League, or at least to the Championship, before we have to do something new and different. Cost, of course, is a thing, but no wonder they won't let us spend money right now. The stadium is coming. Let's hope they find land soon so we can get on with it and get it built. I want to get back home. That hour drive thing. We've not had the stadium backing, the fan backing that we're used to having in the last couple of seasons. And this season, even worse because the stadium's far from full and it's a lot further away. At least last year, we were only half an hour from home. This year, more than an hour. It's just too far. It's a bit of a jog to get there. Next day, we have our intake. And it looks like we might have a goalkeeper to get into the fold, to get into the mix at the position where, of course, we only have Sam Julian and no one else. And he spent a lot of this season injured and has gotten a lot of attention. And he's very much had the desire, more so than a lot of other players, to part ways. An offer comes in for like $3,000 and he's like, "Oh, why didn't you take it? I want to go." Hopefully this Gareth Lloyd is pretty good. Top talents, apparently 4 guys. Defensive mid or right back. We've got a defensive mid or attacking mid. We've got a striker or right winger. Got some options. Phil Hewitt. Last one might be the most game ready right now. Could take some time for these guys. In terms of potential, there's quite a few in the good talents area. Just a few in the decent talents. We'll see. More and more year by year, I accept fewer of the intake players into the fold, replacing fewer and fewer players, keeping some of these players around a bit longer, but of course, getting rid of the weaker group bit by bit, year by year, and having more and more players who are at least capable of backup level, not first 11, but backup level athletes as a minimum standard. Everyone capable of reaching that level. How much will this push us towards the next tier? It's definitely a better intake than what we had last year. Last year's intake was completely ruined by the fact that we had transferred the save from FM23 to FM24 a week or two prior to the intake. I think the data tracks over like a full year or something. Something just didn't add up with such a short window from the start of the transition to the intake itself. And just within that tiny little window, our intake was terrible last year. So it's good to get back to having some players that are going to be capable of contributing long term. Took a 90th minute game winner by Dan Kitching after an early penalty, leveled the score. We trailed early. Only 7 shots the whole game, only 56% possession, but missing 2 key players with moderate injuries now. Thornhill and one of the defensive mids. I want to say it was Mortland. No, Mortland played. But Gloucester didn't lose with Sudbury, but it was a draw. So they dropped 2 points. That's a big one for us as we are now 5 points clear. 1 more match to go until we go head-to-head with Gloucester. Really bad timing for this one, late in the season, when we really need them. I'm going to do the dangerous thing and go for the injections for Lanahan Penreese. We're already missing Thornhill. We're already missing Atkins. And now Lanahan Penreese as well. We're going to go ahead and give the injections so he can play. Annual intake game. We're only going to go for highlights on this one as we're already pretty late into this episode anyway, and I'd like to get a look at the teams. The current under 18s are in purple today. It is the green for the intake players who went really close there, banging one off the crossbar. Already seen Koulibaly out there in goal, one familiar face who has definitely played some senior football. Now the U18s should be the favorites. We're at a point in the playthrough where there might be 1 or 2 intake players that kind of come in as stars that could, contribute at the senior level. But the U18s are experienced enough, have been around long enough, and are from the better mold of players that you get out of here. It's an established enough group. For years, our intake would crush the U18s as it would be the leftovers, and the best players would go straight to the senior squad. really no longer the case. So we'll see if the U18s do get the better of the intake group today on this one. Long ball over the top. Sorico crosses, banged off the post by Cole. Keeper grateful to grab that one. Long ball ahead. Kongolo gets in behind the defense, but Koulibaly grabs that one. Looked like it was off target, and it is off target. That would have been wide anyway. Nice ball over the top. Flashed across goal, but Koulibaly intercepts. We approach halftime. We've played 40 so far. Second half underway, still goalless, and the U18s are just about the better squad here. Definitely have the advantage, better XG, more chances, more possession than the intake players have managed, but still relatively balanced, still could go either way. So surprisingly, the youth candidates are hanging in there pretty well. Kongolo has looked good. Yeah, big chance there. He nearly scored, but Koulibaly with a big save on that one. Kimo Sanko has played well for the U18s. Outside of the goalkeeper, Gareth Lloyd, not much happening for the youth candidates, including Phil Hewitt. He's been a little disappointing, just a 6.5 rating. He's supposed to be the most complete player right now. Spender gets a piece of his man in the box, nowhere near anything, and that's going to result in a penalty, which they convert. Lloyd guesses right, but cannot stop that one from going in. 1-0 to the U18s. Really harsh call. I would love to see in the future FIFA adopt. It would be a difficult rule to apply, determining, and you'd have to have kind of rule sets to make determinations. But a foul in the box shouldn't automatically be a A-type penalty, as in 12 yards out. There should be one 18 yards. You should have 12 or 18 yards. 18 yards gives the keeper a much better chance of making a save, much less automatic. Things that are not scoring chances should be from the 18-yard spot instead of the 12-yard spot. That's my opinion. I'd love to see it implemented. I think it would do a lot to help with the game, because penalties... Oh, deflected off of Spender. It's an own goal. So not only does he give up the penalty that gets the first goal on the board, but he then takes a nowhere near the target shot here, bounces off his shin, and puts it in the upper corner. Responsible for 2 goals now. The bad way, the hard way. And we approach the end of this one with U18s, as expected, coming out on top, but 0 open play goals for them anyway. An own goal. Oh, nice save from Lloyd. An own goal and a penalty. The only balls in the back of the net. Chances were 2-1. That feels about right. But that's a good sign. That means that there is some quality in the intake, that they're able to hang with the much more experienced, much more aged. There's a lot of 17, 18-year-olds on the U18s right now, especially with the poor intake a year ago. So a lot of those guys have been there for 2 to 3 years. So Phil Hewitt is the one who comes in most game ready at a 72 overall. Matty Baker's now a 79 overall, and that's enough to bump him ahead of quite a few guys on the senior squad. Makes him capable of maybe getting the nod above Kasunga Mutombo in the very near future. But Ashley Potter is doing well, growing, increasing, improving in his role. But Phil Hewitt, a 72 124, decent prospect. I like that he's not that great, but he's already good. He'll be very capable very soon, playing for the senior squad, and with the 124 potential ability really for him and Potter, means that they're going to be less sought after. It's almost a good thing. It's like the better the player is, the quicker they leave us in terms of the potential. But 100 to 125 range, I think we're more likely to hang on to players long term, and they can do a lot more for us, as opposed to your Matty Bakers, who we have a bit too many of, that don't really have the potential but can play, but it'll never be more than the guys coming off the bench as reserves. That'll be decent, that can do okay for us, but as we rise up the ladder a level or two, they'll be completely useless for us. We'll be relying on these guys at that point, and hopefully at that point nobody's terribly interested in signing that kind of player. It's just the ones with the really good potential that would be going. But Daniel McCartney is all the way down to the next best current ability guy. I like 2 positions there that he plays. Very useful for us, very helpful for us. Slightly better potential than Hewitt. And in terms of current ability, it's pretty low for a lot of guys. In fact, we've managed to bring in a 25-70. No way that he makes it onto the team. He's going to be out for sure. So is Kraske. Those 2 are easy no's. Kangolo. Oh, that's surprising. Kangolo played pretty well, but he's a 48-74. I don't think he's going to end up making it on the team. That's going to be the one and done. The most impressive of the intake players, doing everything he can to try to get a job. But Gareth Lloyd is the one we really wanted to keep an eye out for. He's a 51-33. Definitely a step up from Grigg already. Koulibaly, for comparison, is a 56-111. He's definitely a better prospect than him, but a little behind at the moment. But that does finally give us 2 goalkeepers down here at the 18s. But in terms of potential, we have 7 players with a 124 plus, which is better than everything that was down in the 18s, as it were. So that's a big plus for us, big help for us. Maxing out at a 138 means we've got some quality, or some potential anyway, within the group, but nothing extreme. No 150s, no 160s, no 170s, nothing that's going to be Premier League level talent. So hopefully a lot of guys that we can just hang on to. For comparison, on the senior squad, we're looking at 5 players that are better than anything potential-wise that we just got there. But you could see that the 124, the 130 range, that's a lot of these guys that aren't getting as much attention to get signed by others. And that's something I like about this intake. You don't want them too good. I know I just mentioned this a moment ago, but let me reiterate that one more time. If they're too good, they're gone in a year or 2. There's nothing we can do to stop it. They get the attention. Somebody's willing to pay that $500,000, and eventually we get money out of it, and that's nice. But we need to be climbing the ladder. We've already cashed in. We've already got some money. We've already got some guys outbound. I want some stability. I want some players we can rely on being with the team long term that get good, that get us good, so that we can climb the ladder, so that we can get through the next couple of tiers and then hang on to players better. And then let's go back to getting those 150s, 160s potential guys. I'm pretty pleased with a pool of 7 good potential players, but not crazy potential. That could be some long stability for us. After that, we've got a 104, a 98, a couple 95, a 90, and then the guys that we're going to let go. I mean, obvious 3 at the bottom are going to get let go, and then we'll have to evaluate these last 2 on whether they're worth hanging on to or not. Ashley Thompson, less likely, with the lower current ability, probably being one to just let go, but we'll have to compare what we have at the dual positions there and what the depth is like. Same for Kwaya Apoku. Actually, even Marcelo Sibic, for that matter. 45-95, yes, but out of position. Doesn't have a set position. He'd have to learn a new one before anything else. That could be a bit of a setback. Might not be worth hanging on to, which would then limit the intake to about 10 players. And then, of course, there comes the decision of who are they replacing? Who in the fold are we letting go to bring those guys in? And again, that just elevates that bottom end further and further, allowing us to make decisions, or make this bottom end worth of decisions that much easier to not bother with. Doran, Banda, probably 2 guys you'd want to let go, though Doran, 67-79, he's nearly maxed out, but I think that's a position that lacks depth. So I have a lot to think about and what I do with this intake. but I'm really happy with the top end depth that we've been provided with here. Guys that can make the first 11 and hopefully stay there and not draw too much attention from the outside. That could be very handy for us. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time when we take on Gloucester and enter the final month of the season. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.